Good morning and welcome everybody to India's first 3D printed space observatory and launch of 3D printing digital construction project at the Noorul Islam University. Today, history is not just being written, it's being printed in 3 dimensions. This monumental double celebration, the grand inauguration of India's first 3D printed space observatory and the official launch of our path-breaking 3D printing digital construction project marks our institution's, quote, giant leap, unquote, into the future. It merges the limitless possibilities of space exploration with the groundbreaking efficiency of digital construction. This space observatory, we hope, will stand as a splendid testament to human ingenuity, sustainable engineering, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge and technology. Invoking blessings upon this monumental venture and marking an auspicious inauguration, let us now begin with the Tamil Thai Vaalthu, the invocation to Mother Tamil. Let us all stand in unison.
நீராரும் கடலுடுத்து நிலமடைந்த கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் வதனமென திகழ் பரத கண்டமிதில் திக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறமியன்று செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Every good thing begins with light and brightness. As we step into a historic era of technology today, let us dispel all darkness and invite a radiant energy into this venue. I now have the honor of inviting all our distinguished dignitaries onto the stage to kindly grace the auspicious lighting of the Kuthuvilakku. May this light illuminate our path and guide us toward a future of limitless innovations.
वचनं मधुरं चरितं Thank you, esteemed dignitaries. With the lamp of knowledge now lit, we begin our program on a note of hope, enlightenment, and aspiration. And now, to formally welcome everyone gathered here for this significant occasion, we invite a distinguished academic leader of our university. I am pleased to invite Dr. Shajan Narugunam, Pro Vice Chancellor Academic Niche, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, may I request you to kindly address the gathering.
Most respected Shri M.S. Faisal Khan, Honorable Chancellor, Srimati Ansar Shabnam Shafiq, Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Noorul Islam Centre for Education, respected Shri Madhavan Nair Sir, former Chairman ISRO and former Secretary, Department of Space, Government of India, respected Dr. Tessie Thomas, Vice Chancellor, ma'am, our distinguished Chief Guest, Shri Donald Allen Thomas, former NASA astronaut, respected Jacob Padakancheri, respected Pro Vice Chancellor Administration Dr. K. A. Janardhanan, respected Registrar P. Thirumal Valavan, beloved Shyamavan Sir, other dignitaries, directors, deans, HODs, friends from media, and my dear students. A warm good morning to one and all. A warm and cordial welcome to this historic and momentous occasion at Noorul Islam Centre for Education begins today is not merely another event in our academic calendar. Today we are witnessing the beginning of new chapter in India's journey towards innovation in space science, advanced manufacturing and aerospace education. It is with immense pride and great enthusiasm that I welcome you all to the laying of the foundation stone of India's first 3D printed space observatory and launching of the aerospace student development program. This landmark initiative reflects the vision of Noorul Islam Centre for Education to create an ecosystem where education, research, engineering, technology, and imagination converge to address the challenges of tomorrow. The foundation stone being laid today is more than the beginning of a physical structure. It represents the foundation of a new vision, a vision to inspire young minds to look beyond the conventional, to explore the possibilities of space, and to transform the ideas into meaningful technological innovations. On this occasion, I extend our heartfelt welcome to our Honorable Chancellor Shri M.S. Faisal Khan Sir, whose visionary leadership has continuously encouraged Noorul Islam Centre for Education to venture into emerging areas of science, engineering, technology. Sir, this initiative is yet another reflection of your commitment to creating opportunities for our students to learn, experiment, and innovate in the frontiers of technology. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. Welcome, sir. It is with immense pleasure and pride I extend a warm and hearty welcome to our Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Ma'am Ansar Shabnam Shafiq. Ma'am is keenly watching our growth and is supporting and conscious about all the activities that is happening and concerned about the quality in which the programs are that is being organized and conducting in our campus. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a very hearty welcome to our Honorable Pro-Chancellor, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. We are equally privileged to welcome the presence of Shri Madhavan Nair Sir, whose remarkable contribution to India's space program have played an important role in strengthening the nation's capabilities in space technology and exploration. Sir, your presence today is a tremendous inspiration to all the student community of Noorul Islam Centre for Education. on behalf of the management of Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education and each one of us assembled here, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. We are equally privileged to welcome Dr. Tessie Thomas, a distinguished scientist and a celebrated figure in India's strategic and aerospace technology landscape. Ma'am, your achievements and landscape continue to inspire generations of young engineers and researchers. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am. It is a matter of immense pride and privilege to welcome the chief guest of today's program, Sri Donald Allen Thomas, former NASA astronaut. Sir, your extraordinary journey from engineering to space exploration embodies the very spirit of curiosity, perseverance, and human endeavor that we seek to cultivate among our students. Your presence will undoubtedly ignite the imagination of all our young minds. On behalf of the management of Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education and each one of us assembled here, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. On this auspicious occasion, I extend a hearty welcome to you, Jacob Vadakanjeri, sir. Sir, your presence here is gives us very inspiration and motivation of your social activities that is being happening in southern part of Kerala. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. I extend my hearty welcome to Dr. K. Janathanan, Pro Vice Chancellor Administration. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. Next, I extend a hearty welcome to our beloved Registrar P. Thirumal Valavan, sir. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Next, I welcome our Professor Emeritus, Professor Shyam Mohan, sir. On behalf of each one of us assembled here, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to you, sir. Today, we are marking the beginning of another initiative called Aerospace Student Development Program. It is envisioned as a platform to provide our students with exposure to aerospace engineering, space science, satellite technology, advanced manufacturing, 3D printing, robotics, computational technologies, and interdisciplinary research. Our objective is not simply prepare the students for the opportunities. We aspire to prepare them to create opportunities of the future. Dear students, the observatory that begins its journey today should also become a symbol of your aspirations. Let it remind you that the great achievements begin with a question, develop through curiosity, and become reality through knowledge, perseverance, and teamwork. As we embark on this remarkable journey, may this initiative inspire innovation without boundaries, reach without limitation, and dream without fear. On behalf of Noorul Islam Centre for Education, I extend my respectful and heartfelt welcome to all the distinguished dignitaries, guests, faculty members, researchers, students, and well-wishers who have joined on this historic event. Your presence has added immense significance to this landmark event. I once again extend a warm and hearty welcome to each one of us. Welcome you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your warm and cordial welcome address. Shri M.S. Faisal Khan, our Honorable Chancellor, is a dynamic and transformative leader whose mission extends far beyond these walls. He is a true champion of human dignity who heals through healthcare and empowers through higher education. He guides the Noorul Islam University and the NIMS Medicity forward with a greater vision and with an unstoppable drive for technology. As the guiding force behind the Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education, he is widely recognized for his progressive, future-focused approach to technology education. He is a leader who balances a rare, brilliant, corporate agility with a deep, compassionate commitment to humanity, academic excellence, technology adoption, and social welfare. He always ensures that the institution continuously embraces global standards. He is the ultimate guiding force behind this historic 3D printing venture. May I now happily invite our Honorable Chancellor to deliver the introduction and the inaugural address.
Namaste. Respected former Chairman ISRO, Secretary Department of Space G. Madhavan Nair sir, today's chief guest, astronaut of NASA, Mr. Donald Allen Thomas, our Pro-Chancellor, Srimati Shabnam Shafiq, esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. Tessie Thomas, Pro-Vice Chancellors, Dr. Shajendra Gulam sir and Dr. K. Janardhanan sir, Dr. Jacob Vadakancheri, Dr. Shyam sir, my dear Honorable Registrar Dr. Thirumal Vallavan, my dear faculties and students. Today is one of the significant event of niche university, as mechanical engineering and civil engineering department has joined hands to establish India's first 3D printed assisted space observatory. The construction is using one of the latest technology, that is robotic arms with the support of advanced artificial intelligence design. The remarkable fact is that the stone laying ceremony of this construction was done by Dr. Donald Allen Thomas, distinguished former NASA astronaut and material scientist who has flown 4 Space Shuttle missions and spent 43 days in space. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to share few incidents that shows niche related with the space research. In 2004, the post-tsunami disaster, NISH was the first university to develop the disaster warning and management satellite with the premise of this university. For that project, we developed the indigenous satellite space center inside the campus with all facilities like satellite tracking control unit, mission control, ground station, clean room, etc. This project was completed with the help of 150 students from various departments of our university, guided by the ISRO scientists. Years later, in 2017, we successfully launched the first student nano satellite weighing just 15 kg, that is Noorul Islam University satellite, NIU SAT, that is the 101st satellite of our country. The most renowned space scientist of all time, Dr. Madhavan Nair sir, who joined us today, has associated with our hospital to establish the Asia's first green cardiac catheterization laboratory. And this project is presented in United Nations General Assembly at Sustainable Development Forum in 2015. Today, event was executed successfully, and Chief Guest was also invited by our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. Tessie Thomas Madam, the first ever woman scientist to head the missile projects of India, the Missile Woman of India. Our Pro-Chancellor, my beloved sister, she traveled a long way from here to attend this auspicious function. I take this opportunity to welcome all the audience, students, to witness the space experience shared the former NASA astronaut, Mr. Donald Allen Thomas. Thank you, sir, for making this day memorable.
Thank you, sir, for that inspiring inaugural address. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of space exploration is built on vision, perseverance, and the courage to imagine what may seem impossible today. And few individuals have contributed more profoundly to India's journey in space science and technology than our distinguished speaker. It is my privilege to introduce Sri G. Madhavan Nair, former chairman of ISRO and the former Secretary of Department of Science, Government of India. A distinguished space scientist and technologist, Sri Madhavan Nair joined the Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station in 1967 and went on to play a significant role in India's launch vehicle and space technology programs. He served as chairman of ISRO and secretary for Department of Space from 2003 to 2009. His tenure witnessed several important achievements in launch vehicles, satellites, and space exploration, including the launch of Chandrayaan-1, India's first mission to the moon. His contributions to India's space science have been recognized with several honors, including the Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. Today, we are truly honored to have such an eminent personality with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sri G. Madhavan Nair, former chairman of ISRO and former secretary for the Department of Science, Government of India, to deliver the presidential address. Sir, we are honored to have you with us. May I request you to kindly address the gathering.
My dear Dr. Faisal Khan, Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor Srimati Ansa Shaif, our great friend Dr. Donald Allen Thomas, the astronaut from NASA, Dr. Tessie Thomas, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, my dear students and friends. It's indeed a great honor for me to be in front of you this morning, especially when a new innovative scheme is being introduced in this niche campus. In fact, the great vision of the founder, he has envisioned that this institute should become world-class in all respects, and the dream is being carried forward by Dr. Faisal Khan in a very remarkable manner. I appreciate the initiative taken by him for several years in innovating new ideas and implementing in practical life the use of modern technology and how to improve the quality of life of the people, whether it is in the medical front or in the education front, or more than that, how to bring in the new concepts and idea to the youth and the new generation. In fact, I have come across him while we did not have any idea about renewable source of energy in the country. Practically nobody was working on it. At the time, he took the initiative to bring in the solar power here, and a very vital laboratory, cath lab, is functioning fully with the solar power. That scheme is very innovative, and then later he tried to combine with other sources of energy like wind energy and so on. And again, the campus is made green by using the biogas plant and so on. And every time when I meet him, he come up with new concepts and new ideas. And in fact, it's a very productive mind and imagination. His imagination is beyond even the space. I congratulate you for all the initiatives what you have taken and providing the opportunity for the students to wet their hands on the most modern technology. In fact, today, it's the age of AI and computers and the computer-based design and CAD system for manufacture and so on. And the 3D printing is emerging. just when it is just emerging in the world as a tool for improvising, he has thought that should be demonstrated here in this campus, that too in a venture by creating an observatory at a beautiful site. I had been there this morning, and it is mind-boggling, the view from there. The surrounding hills with, of course, is green now, and far away the sea, and of course the windmills you can see at the horizon. And it's such a beautiful location. And from there, you will get an opportunity to look at not only the space, the natural phenomena, the paddy fields or the flower gardens around, and the sea, which is very vast and resource source. So this is a very unique place where the observatory is not going to be built on a conventional basis. It's going to be designed in a computer and without any manual intervention that will be loaded to the 3D machine, and that will do the construction in record time, maybe within a month, I suppose. So that is something which is needed, especially for a country like ours. There are a lot of people are living in shanty accommodation, and they need proper low-cost houses. So this will be a tool which can be powerfully exploited for such purposes. And students who are here have an opportunity to wet their hands on the system and use it for the application. Now, I am extremely happy that I am able to share the stage with Dr. Allen. He's a fantastic adventurer, I would say. He has matured from an engineer to an astronaut, and just in a few minutes itself, he has explained to me the thrill of the space. He says the darkness or the black, what you see there, is unimaginable. None of us can see that. Unless you see with your own eyes, you won't believe it. That's what he was telling me. I also, of course, I have seen the pictures through my Chandrayaan, looking at the space, Earth, moon, etc., but there's nothing. Of course, that's all, 2D pictures, which will show multiple colors and so on. And you can also use your computer to suit the colors to your taste. But that's not enough. But in fact, this is a theme which I was trying to sell to the country just before I left office. In fact, that's the time when the Space Shuttle was decommissioned. I thought India has an opportunity to provide a space transportation system and provide a competition to the Soyuz rocket, which is being used for taking astronauts to the space. That was in 2009. That project report was approved. And if we have gone ahead with that, by 2016, we would have been having the capsule similar to the Soyuz one, carrying 3 passengers and safely returning back to Earth. But unfortunately, due to political reasons and so on, it was put in cold storage. And later, it is after Modi ji has taken a charge as a Prime Minister, he has given new life to it. And we are very close to achieving the target. We will be having the capsule capable of carrying 3 astronauts to space and continuing in space for about a week or so and returning back to Earth. That is the Gaganyaan project, and that's really going to be one of the major milestones in India's space history, which is going to take place maybe within a couple of years from now. Also, our Prime Minister has declared that we will have our own space station, and our astronauts will fly capsule to moon and return back to Earth. So this is an ambitious goal which has to be achieved by 2040. So opportunities in the space is enormous, and it is for us to grab these opportunities and move forward, equipping the youth for facing the challenges related to space technology. Not only space technology, any other science and technology which needs, which finds application in the common day-to-day life needs attention, and that is where you have to, if you want to do that, you have to keep your eyes and ears open. you continue your learning continuously and absorb the technology as much as possible and have out-of-the-box thinking to find innovative solutions, cost-effective solutions, and which can be sustainable without destroying the nature. This is the kind of challenges before the youth, and I'm sure this university will provide all the ambience and the thrust which is required for this program. With these few words, I'm really happy that I'm here, and I would like to declare this program inaugurated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your gracious presence today with us. And also thank you for the flowing words of praise for the construction of the observatory here at Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education, as well instilling in us the wonder of space. Thank you, sir. And now we have the time to honor Sri Madhavan Nair. May I now request our Honorable Chancellor, Sri Faisal Khan, to honor him.
Thank you, sir. From the remarkable journey of India's space program, we now turn towards the future of innovation, scientific excellence, and aerospace education. It is now time to hear the keynote address from an accomplished scientist and academic leader. Dr. Tessie Thomas, popularly known as the Missile Woman of India, is one of India's most distinguished scientists and a pioneering figure in the field of missile technology. A distinguished scientist of the DRDO, she became the first woman scientist head a missile project in India. She played a key role in the development of the Agni 4 and 5 missile systems. Her remarkable journey stands as an inspiration to young scientists, particularly women, demonstrating that dedication, knowledge, and excellence can overcome any barrier. I am delighted to invite Dr. Tessie Thomas, Vice Chancellor, NISH, to deliver the keynote address. Welcome, ma'am.
Very respected Sri G. Madhavan Nair, former Chairman of ISRO and former Secretary, Department of Space, Government of India. Very respected Chief Guest of today, Dr. Donald A. Thomas, former NASA astronaut. Our very respected beloved Chancellor, Sri M.S. Faisal Khan. Our Pro-Chancellor, Srimati Shabanam Shafiq. Sri Jacob Vadakancheri, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Admin, Dr. Janardhanan, Pro-Vice Chancellor Academics, Dr. Shajin Narugunam, Registrar, Dr. P. Thirumal Vallavan, Sri Shah Mohan, and all the distinguished faculty members and my dear students, a very good morning to all of you. Today is a very significant occasion for NISH as we take another step forward in space science, emerging technologies and student development through India's first 3D printed space observatory and the Aerospace Student Development Program. At NISH, we always believe that students should learn technology in the classroom, experiment it, experience it, and create with it. The NIU SAT, the satellite initiative, was an important step in this direction, and today we are taking that journey further by creating new opportunities in space science, aerospace, 3D printing, and advanced technologies. We are especially fortunate to have Sri G. Madhavan Nair sir with us, and with more than 4 decades of contribution to India's space program, his leadership at ISRO and his association with major launch vehicles, PSLV, GSLV, and the space missions like Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, Gaganyaan have played an important role in strengthening India's capabilities in space. It's inspiring and highly motivating to have Donald A. Thomas, who has flown on 4 NASA Space Shuttle missions and has experienced space firsthand. His presence gives our students a rare opportunity to learn directly from someone who has been part of human space exploration and who continues to inspire young minds through space education. We are honored to have the presence of Sri Jacob Vadakancheri, who has been closely associated with Gandhian Society, yoga and natural therapy for many years. His presence adds great value to this important initiative of our university. With the continuous support and vision of our beloved Pro-Chancellor Sri M.S. Faisal Khan and Pro-Chancellor Srimati Shabnam Shafiq, and with the efforts of the university leadership, we are continuously working to bring new technologies, new facilities, and new opportunities to the students of NISH. I am sure today's program and the interaction with these distinguished personalities will inspire our students to explore new frontiers in science and technology. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Madam, for your gracious words and for the fine keynote address. We now have in our midst the rare and distinct presence of an astronaut, the former NASA astronaut and distinguished aerospace scientist, Sri Donald Allen Thomas, who has crossed the ultimate frontier of human exploration. A veteran of 4 historic space shuttle missions, Dr. Thomas has spent over 1,000 hours in space, orbiting our planet nearly 700 times. Incredible. Yet his journey is defined not just by the millions of miles he has traveled, but by his extraordinary, never give up spirit. Having overcome multiple rejections before earning his wings at NASA, his life stands as a poignant reminder that boundaries only exist in our human minds. Today, as our institution looks up toward the stars with India's first 3D printed space observatory, his legendary presence reminds us that no dream is ever too distant if we have the courage to pursue it. Beyond his space missions, Dr. Thomas has also served in important roles within NASA. including as an international space station program scientist. His journey from aerospace engineering to becoming a NASA astronaut is itself a powerful message to young students here. Dreams become achievable when knowledge is combined with determination and perseverance. Let us give a big applause to Dr. Donald Allen Thomas, who has traveled from the United States of America to this corner of India. Welcome, sir.
Vanakkam. Hey, thank you for that introduction, and I'm so honored to be here. And to the Chancellor, I appreciate the invitation to be part of laying the foundation for your new observatory. And I look forward to coming back here in the future so I can actually look at the stars once again. So I promise you I'll come back. I'm excited to be here to meet the students and to share my experiences. And this morning, I'll tell you a little bit about what it's like to live and work in space. I'll show you some pictures of the Earth taken from above, and I'll talk at the end a few minutes about some of NASA's future programs as well. So with that, let's get started. Does anybody recognize this individual? Rakesh Sharma, the first Indian in space in 1984. He flew with the Russians up to the Salyut 7 space station, where he spent 8 days up there. This next one is a little harder. Kalpana Chawla, right? Everybody knows her. She worked for me in the astronaut office for about a year. We shared an office together. She was the hardest working astronaut that I have ever met. She always had the beautiful smile on her face, was always enthusiastic, and loved talking about flying and being in space. And if you recognize her, this is Sunita Williams. Her father was born in India. Sunita was born in Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown. So we're also good friends. She just retired from the astronaut program a few months ago, and she spent a year and a half up at the International Space Station. I have 44 days in space. She has a year and a half up at the space station, so she's a very accomplished astronaut. I want to share with you my story of how I got here, how I became an astronaut. I was just 6 years old when the first American astronaut went into space. That was a long time ago, back in May of 1961. And at my primary school, they had all of our students come to the gymnasium. I sat on the floor and I watched the launch on a small black and white TV. And as soon as our astronaut had made it to space that day, I remember sitting there saying, I want to do that. So ever since I was a little boy, I knew I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to ride a rocket. I wanted to experience zero gravity floating around in space. So I always knew what I wanted to do. The problem is, well, how do you get there? How do you become an astronaut? And as a young boy, I had no idea how to become an astronaut. We only had 7 American astronauts at that time, and I didn't know any of them. But the one thing I recognized early on was it was going to be difficult. There's a lot of competition. Thousands of people apply to be an astronaut, and then a small handful get selected. So as a young boy, I knew my only shot of making it to space was going to have to involve me working hard and doing my best in school every single day. And that's what I tried to do in math and science, but reading, art, history, music, gym, language, whatever I was studying, I gave it my absolute best effort. After high school, I went on to university. I got my bachelor's degree in physics, and that was the minimum degree you needed to become an astronaut. A 4-year university degree in math, science, engineering, or the medical field. But again, I knew the competition was going to be tough, and I thought I can't start applying to NASA with just the bare minimum requirements. So I stayed in university, and I went on and got my master's and then my PhD in engineering. So after 10 years of university, I got out, and it was at this point then that I started applying to NASA to become an astronaut. NASA selects new groups of astronauts every 3 or 4 or 5 years. They'll pick a small group of 10 or 15 new astronauts. And it was 2 years after I finished university, NASA put out the announcement they needed new astronauts. I was all excited. I wrote to them. I got the application form, carefully filled it out, sent it back in, and you can probably imagine what happened. They turned me down. They said no thanks. I was surprised, but I didn't give up. I decided I'll try again. 2 years later, another astronaut selection. I got another application form, filled it out, sent it in, same result. NASA said no thank you. So at this point, I'm thinking, my grandmother and I have the same chance of becoming an astronaut. What chance was that? 0. I wasn't even getting close in the competition. So at this point, I realized I needed to do more to get noticed by NASA. And being an engineer, what I did is I studied the data. I carefully looked at the backgrounds of the people that were successful getting into the program to see what do they have that I don't have? What am I missing here? What education, what background, what experiences? And by carefully studying that, I learned a few things. The first was most of the astronauts they were selecting already had flying experience. It wasn't a requirement, but it seemed to help a little bit. So I started taking flying lessons and I got my pilot's license. I also noticed most of the astronauts they were selecting had some parachuting or skydiving experience. It wasn't a requirement, but it seemed to help a little bit. So I learned to do that. I also went on and taught a university course. That was also something that NASA seemed to value. So I worked on these activities. 3 years later, another astronaut selection. I sent my application in, and this time NASA called me up. And out of the thousands of people that apply to be an astronaut, NASA will select 100 individuals. They bring you to Houston, Texas, to the Johnson Space Center for a week of medical testing, and then there's a 1-hour interview. I passed all the medical tests. That went well. I went on to the interview, and I thought that went extremely well. So at the end of my week with NASA, I thought, boy, that couldn't have gone any better for me. And I went back to my job and just sat there and waited to see, did I make it or not this time? And I was back at my job about a week or so when some of my friends started calling me up from across the United States. And they called up and they said, hey, Don, the FBI and the police have been calling about you. And let me tell you, if the police are ever calling about you, it's either really good or really, really bad, right? In this case, it was really good. NASA was doing a security background check on me, and they looked into my background. They checked the police records, every city wherever I lived, to see if I'd ever been in trouble. They met with all my bosses. Every company that I worked for, from when I was 15 years old and on, they would meet with my former bosses and say, what kind of worker was Don? Did he show up to work on time? How did he treat the customers? How did he treat the co-workers? And then they went up and down the streets, any neighborhood, wherever I lived, talking to the neighbors, asking how I treated people in the neighborhood. When I heard this was going on, I said, this is a great sign. I didn't think NASA can be doing this detailed security check on all 100 people they interviewed. I figured they must have selected their astronauts, and this is the final check to make sure you're good to go before they announce the names. So I was very excited, and it was 2 months later I got the call from NASA. They called up and said, Don, thank you very much for applying. We had a lot of good candidates. We did not select you, but good luck in the future. I hung up that phone and I was in shock. I really thought I had made it into the astronaut program, but here for the third time, NASA said no. So at this point, I made the decision, it's time to give up on this silly dream of mine. I worked hard, I gave it my best effort, I applied 3 times, but clearly NASA wasn't interested in me. So I decided I'm gonna go to bed, I'll get a good night's sleep, and then in the morning when I wake up, I'll put together a new plan for my career that does not involve being an astronaut. I went to bed that night. The next morning when I woke up, the very first thought that popped into my head was, I still want to be an astronaut. So I asked myself, are there any more of these little things that I can do to improve my background, to make myself a better candidate? And once again, by studying who NASA was selecting and who they weren't selecting, I noticed most of the civilian astronauts they were selecting, they were individuals that were already working at the Johnson Space Center. So at this point, I quit my job. I drove halfway across the United States, and I got a job at the Johnson Space Center as an engineer working on the Space Shuttle program. I did that for 3 years. Then they had another astronaut selection, number 4. I sent my application in. I got called up for the medical testing and the interviews once again, and that all went well. And then it was about 3 months later, I get another phone call from NASA. And this time they called up and said, Don, are you still interested in being an astronaut? Because we'd like to offer you the job. I said, yes. I hung up that phone. And for the next 10 minutes, I'm jumping up and down, yelling and screaming, thank you. Because I knew I made it into the astronaut program. I was 35 years old when I got that call, and I started a 4-year training program for my first flight. So the first time I made it to space, I was 39 years old. So it took me a while, from this little boy dreaming of going into space, it took a while for me to get up to space, but it was so worth it in the end. And my number one advice to all of our students here today is to always work hard, always give it your absolute best effort, and whatever dreams our students have, and you all have dreams, big dreams and small dreams, do not give up on your dream. I almost gave up on mine when NASA turned me down that 3rd time, and had I given up, I wouldn't be with you here this morning. So it's really important, always work hard, give it your best effort, and don't give up along the way. And I went from this little boy just dreaming of going into space to getting assigned on 4 space shuttle missions. This is the crew from my last flight. The last time I was in space was 29 years ago aboard Space Shuttle Columbia. We have 7 astronauts on the crew. On the left-hand side with the helmet is our commander. His name was Jim Halsell. He was an Air Force test pilot. On the right-hand side with the helmet is our pilot. Her name is Susan Still. And Susan was a pretty unique individual. She's only the 2nd woman to pilot the space shuttle. And Susan was one of my country's top Navy fighter pilots. So it was a great opportunity for me to fly with her on this mission. And then in the background, we have 5 of our science astronauts. We're called mission specialists. Our job is to do the science on board. We're trained to work the robotic arm on the shuttle if there's a need for that. We deploy satellites and do spacewalks. So we each have our area of specialty on the crew. You probably don't recognize that guy on the far right-hand side, but that's the way I used to look 29 years ago before glasses, gray hair, wrinkles, and a few kilograms around the middle here. There you see the space shuttle on the launch pad. I took this picture the night before my first mission. Went out there about midnight or so with another astronaut, and it was so incredible to stand there right at the base of your space shuttle, all lit up with those bright lights. And as I stood there looking up at it, I had incredible butterflies in my stomach. A little piece of me was nervous, a little piece of me was scared, but my main emotion was just one of great excitement, because I knew 12 hours from when I'm taking this picture, I'm going to be heading off to space, and I almost couldn't believe where I was and what I was about to do. So they bring us out on launch morning about 3 hours before liftoff. So there I am in my launch suit, standing at the base of Space Shuttle Columbia maybe 3 hours before launch. We'll take an elevator up to the top, and there you see me standing right near the nose of the Space Shuttle. They strap us into our seats one at a time. So I'm just standing out here waiting. When it's my turn, they'll call out and say, "Hey, Don, we're ready for you." I'll turn that corner to the left, walk down an access arm, and at the end of it, you see the round hatch or door for the shuttle. Before I climb inside, these two gentlemen in the white suits there will help me put on a parachute. We'll get the helmet on, gloves on. Then I'll get on my hands and knees, crawl on that white board, go through the round hatch, and there's a few people to help strap us into our seats. We're laying down on our backs for liftoff, and we've got shoulder harnesses and seat belts on. They strap us in good and tight, because there's a lot of shaking and vibration during launch. You don't want to bounce out of your seat and hurt yourself or damage any equipment. So they strap us in nice and tight. Once that's all done, they close and seal that side door, and then everybody moves away from us about 5 kilometers. And it gets very quiet inside the space shuttle up until 6 seconds before liftoff. At that point, 3 big engines at the tail of the shuttle start coming up to full power. And 6 seconds later, we light our big white side rockets called solid rocket boosters. And the instant they light, boom, immediately you take off. Laying on my back in my seat, I could hear the roar of the engines. I could feel all the shaking and vibration going on. And right at the instant of liftoff, I felt a push in my back. And it felt to me like somebody had their hand right in the middle of my back, and they were just pushing me up into the sky. And that's what the shuttle is doing here, literally pushing us, tossing us up in the air. This picture is taken 4 seconds after liftoff. We're going 200 kilometers an hour already. 8.5 minutes later, the engines shut down. It's perfectly quiet, and you're in space. It only takes 8.5 minutes to get to space. That was always amazing to me. And in 8.5 minutes, you're 300 kilometers above the Earth, and at this point, we're traveling at a speed of 27,000 kilometers an hour. That's 7 kilometers a second. So we go so fast that we orbit the Earth every hour and a half. And that we're traveling at 7 kilometers a second, so for our students here, imagine how fast you could get home for your holiday next week if you could travel at those speeds. I think most of you would be home maybe within a few seconds, or if you live far from here, maybe it would take 20 seconds to get home. But it's incredible to orbit the Earth in only 1.5 hours. On 3 of my 4 missions, we had a science module in the back of the space shuttle called Space Lab. Very similar to our science modules up on the International Space Station. And once we got to space, we could open up a hatch, float through a tunnel, and we'd go back and work on different experiments. And during a 2-week space shuttle mission, we'd work on 100 to 200 different experiments from scientists across the planet. And I want to tell you quickly about 2 of these experiments, just to give you an idea of some of the work we do in space. I think everybody's familiar with the shape of a candle flame. Here on Earth, with gravity, hot air rises, and it draws a flame up to a point. You put your hand above that candle, you'll feel that hot air coming up. You put your hand below it, it's much cooler. Well, in space, without gravity, hot air doesn't rise, and cold air doesn't settle down, so instead of a flame coming up to a point, in space a flame will burn perfectly round. And what you're looking at in this picture is a little pink droplet of butane fuel. It's like what we use in a disposable lighter. And we've set it on fire, and that blue ball or halo you see there is a flame burning. And it'll just float in the air. It'll burn perfectly spherical. It'll consume all the oxygen around itself, and then that flame will go out all on its own. We also do a lot of biology and life science experiments. In this experiment, I've got a container with a Japanese red-bellied newt. And the newt would lay eggs, and we put the eggs in the right-hand side of that chamber I'm holding, and then we just watched how they grew and developed in zero gravity. They were very similar to frog eggs, developing into tadpoles and baby frogs. You'd see tails forming and arms and legs, and we just photographed them every day looking for anything unusual that may happen when they're growing in zero gravity. This is Chaki Mukai. She was the first Japanese woman in space, and I flew with her on my first mission. And in space, you don't walk around like we're used to doing here on Earth. To move around in space, it's just a little push with your finger, and you go sailing through the air like Superman or Superwoman. And you'll keep sailing until you hit a wall or until you reach out and stop your motion. So it's a lot of fun just floating around in space. This is Susan, the pilot on my last flight, and Susan's typing on a laptop computer. I want to point out one feature. If you look at her toes, she's got her toes hooked on that vertical gold pole. If she didn't do that with her toes, every time she hit the keyboard on the computer, she'd go bouncing off, right? It's one of Newton's laws. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. But if she just pinches that bar a little bit with her toes, she can stay in position, stabilize herself, and type on the computer all day long. And in space, there's no up or down. I think we pretty much agree which way is up and which way is down here today. In space, there is no up or down. And you know here on Earth, if you stand on your head, all the blood rushes to your head because of gravity. I'm sure you felt the pressure from that. In space, that doesn't happen. You go upside down, you feel totally normal. And in space, wherever your head is pointed, that direction is up for you. Wherever your feet are pointed, that's down. So this is Nancy and Kevin on my second flight. Nancy's looking at Kevin, saying, "Hey, Kevin, you're upside down." Well, Kevin is looking right back at her, saying, "No, you're upside down." This is what Kevin sees. In his world, he's upright and she's upside down. So who's correct here? They're either both right or both wrong. You never feel like you're upside down in space. It's everybody else in the room. Now in space, most of our food is freeze-dried, and it comes in these small plastic packages like you see here. And to prepare the food, we bring it over to a food station. There's a sharp needle that'll poke into that food container. We can inject some hot water, and that dry, hard food will absorb that water, soften up, and after a few minutes, it's ready to eat. We would just cut those plastic packages open with a pair of scissors and eat it with a normal fork or spoon. The most popular food from the 30 years of the Space Shuttle program was shrimp cocktail. Does anybody here like prawns? Yeah. This is the most popular food, and they're freeze-dried. When we would add cold water to it, you'd get that red-orange cocktail sauce. And I think this was very popular because it was a little bit spicy. Most of our space food is fairly bland, has a lot of preservatives in it, and I think this was very popular because of the spices in there. So I think your biryani here would be a big hit. I know it would be for me up in space. Does anybody here like pizza? Any pizza lovers with our students? Does anybody know who flew the first pizza in space? This is important stuff. I'll give you a clue. It was Don Thomas back in 1997. Now, how did I get a pizza in space? We don't have freeze-dried pizza. Well, on launch morning, we're allowed to carry a sandwich with us in the pocket of our spacesuit in case we get hungry before launch. And on my third mission, I asked NASA, I said, "Hey, instead of a turkey sandwich, can I get a slice of pizza?" And NASA said, "Yeah, we can do that for you." So they made me this personal pizza. If it ever comes up on an exam here at university or at trivia night, who flew the first pizza in space? You got this, right? And the bonus question is, what kind of pizza was it? It was pepperoni. And you think it was any good? Yeah, I tell people it was A-okay. It was pretty good. I didn't eat it on the launch pad. I waited till I got to space. So we're allowed to have a little bit of fun up in space. In this picture, I've got a drink bag. And in space, you can't drink out of a glass or bottle like we're used to doing here on Earth. If I had a bottle of water in space, I could take the top off, tip it upside down to get a drink, and nothing would happen. Without gravity, that water's not going to fall or pour out of the bottle. So we drink out of these little foil pouches, very similar to a juice box or a juice bag that your kids or grandkids may drink out of. And in this picture, I've got a bag of tropical punch, red juice. I've squeezed that bag of punch, and some of the juice got away from me. And what looks like a red golf ball right in front of my face is actually a blob of tropical punch. Any liquid in space forms a perfectly round ball from a force we call surface tension, and it draws it into that sphere. So space is a really great environment for studying liquids and surface tension forces. Sleeping's a little unusual in space. The inside of the space shuttle's pretty small, maybe the size of your kitchen at home. And we didn't have dedicated bedrooms. So when it was time to go to bed, we take a sleeping bag, put it up on the wall, you float up there, slip inside, zip it up, and you go to bed. We wear the dark eye shades that you see in this picture because we go around the Earth every hour and a half. And we get 45 minutes of daylight, 45 minutes of nighttime. If you don't want the sun coming in your eyes all the time, you need to wear the eye shades. Now for cleaning up in space, we don't have a shower, we don't have a bathtub, we don't even have a sink like you have in your kitchen or bathroom at home. So when it comes time to clean up, we have some of those drink bags that I showed you, and instead of having powdered juice in those, a few of them will have powdered soap. We could add hot water, mix up a bag of hot soapy water, and we just give ourselves a sponge bath. That's how we clean up. For washing our hair, we have a special shampoo that you see here called No Rinse Shampoo. This was developed for people in the hospital who can't get out of bed to take a shower. And it's very easy to use, doesn't require any water. All you do is squirt some of that in your hair, you work up a lather, then you take a towel, pat it dry, and you're done. I took this picture, I love the bottom line on the bottle. It says, for beautifully clean, full-bodied hair. And I want to share with you what that looks like in space. So here's Susan, our pilot, and anybody with longer hair, it's going to float all over. I'm not picking on Susan here. Even my short hair floats all over. And we have a saying. We say that every day in space is a bad hair day, and that's pretty accurate. I want to share with you the granddaddy of all bad hair days in space right here. This is Marcia Ivins. She flew on 5 space shuttle missions. She had super long hair, as you see. She wouldn't leave it like this normally. Otherwise, for the rest of us, it'd be like scuba diving through seaweed. She'd put it in a ponytail, but just did this for the picture. Now, exercise is really important in space. As I stand up here in front of you this morning, I'm using my leg muscles to walk around, to fight gravity. But in space, it's just a push with my finger and I sail through the air. And everything is weightless in space. I can lift this podium with one finger in space. I can lift a car with one finger. So we don't use our muscles at all. Very important exercise. We had this bicycle on the space shuttle we'd ride for about 45 minutes every day. Would get your heart muscle going, get your leg muscles working, so when you come back to Earth at the end of the mission, you're still in good physical shape. I forgot I had this one in there. You guys know what this is? Yeah, should we skip this? Should we skip this, or you want to hear about it? You want to hear about it? Wow, this is a great university here. All right. This is the toilet on board the space shuttle. It's in a small closet area, very similar to an airline toilet. We have a curtain that goes across the front, like a shower curtain for privacy, and you see a white toilet seat like our toilets on Earth. But here on Earth, we use gravity to collect the waste material. You can probably imagine what would happen in space, and I won't be describing that here today. But this toilet is like a porta potty you may see at a construction site, and in the bowl of the toilet, we have giant fans. To activate the toilet, there's a little knob off to the side. You push that forward, it activates these fans, and it sucks air from the toilet seat downward. So we use that down rush of air to act like gravity to keep all the waste material down, and that's the secret of the space toilet. I'll wrap it up by showing you some pictures of the Earth, and whenever an astronaut has a free moment, we'd float to the window to watch the Earth go by. I've got a map in my hand here. I'm trying to figure out where we are around planet Earth. And I'm looking out one of the windows towards the tail end of the space shuttle. And I took a camera right up to that window, I pressed it against a glass, and I took a picture so you can see exactly what my eyes are seeing. And this is the view I see out the back. So that's a beautiful blue Earth from 300 kilometers above. All the blue in this image is the Pacific Ocean. The white areas are puffy clouds. If you look carefully at the bottom edge of the Earth, either to the right or to the left of the Space Shuttle, you may see a little thin blue line. And what that blue line is, that is our atmosphere. You know, on a nice sunny morning like we have today, you look up at that blue sky, it looks like it goes on forever and ever. From space, we're looking at the atmosphere edge on. And it looks just like you see here. It's a paper-thin layer. Most of the air protecting us here on planet Earth is in that first 20, 25 kilometers or so. And that's about it, which is why when we pollute the air, it can have such a major impact on our planet. Here's a giant hurricane or typhoon. I saw many storms when I was up there. This was a big one over the Pacific Ocean, about 600 kilometers across. And we flew right over the center of it. And from 300 kilometers up, I could look straight down, look right into the eye, and see the blue water of the Pacific Ocean right there. There we go. Here's a volcano venting steam. This is in the South Pacific near Indonesia. And here you see the Himalaya mountains. And right at the center, right there, that's Mount Everest, tallest mountain on planet Earth. Now I can stand up here in front of you and tell you today without lying, I have seen the top of Mount Everest with my own eyes about 25 times during my missions. I call it the lazy man's way to see the top of Mount Everest, right? No climbing involved, just cruising overhead. But I use this picture to illustrate some of the things I got to see and do during my career. I've never climbed Mount Everest. I never will in my lifetime, but I've seen the top of it many times. I've seen the Great Barrier Reef off Australia, the Amazon rainforest down in South America. I've seen Mount Kilimanjaro, big volcanic peak in Africa poking up through the clouds. So many amazing sights around planet Earth. And this is a sunrise from space. Because we go around the Earth every hour and a half, we see 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets every 24-hour day up there. And they were all spectacular to see, and I would try to catch as many of these as I could every day I was in space. At the end of the mission, it's time to come home. We'd fire 2 engines in the back of the shuttle, and it would slow our speed down where we would begin our fall back to Earth. And an hour later, we would end up landing at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Touching down like an airplane, we deploy the drag parachute out the back, put the brakes on, and we just roll to a stop. And then we just sit and wait for them to open the hatch to let us out. And typically, it would take them about an hour before they opened the door for us. When I first came back from space, I felt like I weighed about 1,000 kilograms because I had been floating around weightless for 2 weeks, and then suddenly I came back to this pull of gravity. Just a normal pull we're feeling in here today, but my arms felt heavy, my legs were heavy, I was a little dizzy when I got back, and it took a day or so for that dizziness to go away, and maybe a week or so to get your muscle strength back, and then you're pretty much back to normal. So this picture was taken 2 hours after I landed on my first flight. That's me there on the left-hand side. And after we took this picture, I turned around and I was just looking back up at the Space Shuttle, thinking, what an amazing vehicle this is. You know, this was my house in space for 2 weeks. This thing protected me from that fiery re-entry coming in through the atmosphere. And then the next thought that popped into my head was, I got to do this again. And I went on to fly a total of 4 times in space. So our space shuttles that you see here, they're all retired. Our last mission was in 2011, and the space shuttles are all in museums today. If you want to join us at the Kennedy Space Center on one of the NASA tours that Gopher Guru organizes, you can see Space Shuttle Atlantis up close. And you see it, it looks just like Columbia here. It's a little discolored, it looks dirty, because of those 33 missions it flew in space. We still have the International Space Station orbiting overhead today. It's about 450 kilometers up. We currently have 7 astronauts up there. We have 3 Americans, 3 Russians, and there's a French woman up there right now as well. And they live up there for about 6 months at a time. In the upper left-hand corner, I want to highlight one of our newer NASA astronauts. His name is Anil Menon. His father was born in Kerala, here in India. So right now, up on the International Space Station, you've got a great representative of the beautiful country of India floating overhead 400 kilometers up. What do you think about that? Pretty great? Yeah. And Anil is a medical doctor. He was a flight surgeon, and he just finished up his 2nd spacewalk just a few days ago. Today, NASA is working on a new series of rockets called the Space Launch System. And these are big rockets for going to the moon and on to Mars. Our astronauts will ride in a capsule called the Orion, and they'll parachute down into the Pacific Ocean at the end of the mission. Our first test launch of this new rocket was the Artemis 1 mission, which was about 4 years ago. We launched it unmanned, so no astronauts on board, and we sent it to the moon, where it orbited the moon for about 2 weeks and then came back to Earth. And we were just checking out how the capsule, how the rocket operated. Our next mission was Artemis 2, and we put 4 astronauts on board that mission, and we sent them looping around the backside of the moon. And they just launched in April of this year. We have these 4 astronauts that were on that flight. On the far right-hand side is Jeremy Hansen. He was the first Canadian to go to the moon. On the left-hand side, I want to highlight Christina Cook. When I was a young boy, we were doing the Apollo missions 50-some years ago, and we sent 24 men to the moon during that time. Here in 2026, Christina Cook became the very first woman to go to the moon, and I think she'll be the first of many, many to travel there. Their launch was on April 1st from the Kennedy Space Center, launching on the Space Launch System rocket, and they looped around the backside of the moon. So here on the left-hand side, you see their Orion capsule. In the center there, you're looking at the backside of the moon, and in the far distance there on the right-hand side, you see planet Earth. Here's a picture of an Earthrise. Here on Earth, we can see sunrises, we can see the moon rise. If you're around the moon, you can actually see the Earth rise. And this is a few pictures of the Earth coming up that our astronauts got to see. How'd you like to look out the window and see that view? I would have loved to have been on that mission. When the astronauts were on their way back from the moon, they were able to set up an artificial total solar eclipse of the sun. By matching the distance between the moon and the sun, where you could block out the disk of the sun, they were able to create this artificial total solar eclipse. And here's a picture of totality right there. So you're looking at the disk of the moon, and then that glowing feature you see, that's the corona, something we normally only see during a total eclipse here on Earth. And here's our astronauts wearing their eclipse glasses, watching the eclipse. This is my favorite picture taken by the Artemis 2 crew. This is when they were heading, towards the moon. And it's a picture of the full Earth. And as you look at it, you can see the African Sahara Desert. And then in the lower left-hand side, you see Brazil and South America. And near the top, you can see Spain. I'm going to zoom in on Spain here. And here you can see the capital, Lisbon, capital of Portugal. You see Madrid, the capital of Spain. You can see the Straits of Gibraltar and the Mediterranean. And all those light-colored dots that you see there, those are city lights. So this picture, this is taken at nighttime. This is the dark side of the Earth. And what's lighting it up to enable us to see the Earth is the reflected reflected light from a full moon. I'm sure you've all gone outside when there's a full moon and you can see your shadow most of the time. You know, that reflected moonlight is lighting up the Earth here and allows us to see city lights as well as the night side of the Earth. And if you look carefully at the North and South Pole, you can even see a little thin green band of the aurora glowing there. And that bright star in the upper left-hand corner is Venus. So what an incredible view of our Earth. Hold on. Oops. Our next mission is Artemis 3. And we're going to launch this about a year from now. We're going to launch 4 astronauts. They're not going to go to the moon. They're going to stay in Earth orbit. And they're going to test out one of 2 different landers that some of our commercial space companies are building to land on the moon. SpaceX and Elon Musk is working on a lander called the Starship on the right-hand side. And then Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' company, has a lander called the Blue Moon. And we'll test both of these out in Earth orbit, and then following that, we'll send one of these to the moon. And that'll be on the Artemis 4 mission, which is about 2 to 3 years away. And we're going to land on the south pole of the moon. And NASA's committed to having 1 man and 1 woman on that crew. So again, when I was your age, for the students here, we landed 12 men on the moon during Apollo. We're just a few years away from landing the very first woman on the moon, and I think she's going to become famous like Neil Armstrong. They're going to land at the south pole of the moon. And why the south pole? Where there's some really deep craters. And at the bottom of those craters, we know there's water ice. This came from comets that bombarded the moon millions of years ago. That ice is still there. And from that, we could get drinking water, we can get hydrogen and oxygen, so it's an incredible resource, which is why we're targeting the South Pole. So where are we going with these new rockets and capsules? I mentioned the moon. We'd also like to go on and study the asteroids and then go on to the planet Mars. So about 20 years from now, we hope to land astronauts on the surface of Mars. And this is an artist's drawing of that day. So you see the landing craft there in the center, and just to the right of it, you see the shadowy figure of the first humans setting foot on Mars. And those astronauts that you see walking on Mars, it's not this generation of astronauts. I'm too old to go to Mars. 20 years from now, I'm 91. NASA's not sending me to Mars. So the astronauts going to Mars are our students here today. And we call you the Mars generation. And it'll be somebody in your generation here to be that first person to set foot on Mars. And that's why we say, you know, we need you. We're building these rockets for Mars. We're designing new spacesuits and habitats for Mars. But all of you here, you represent that next generation of scientists, engineers, medical professionals, technicians, explorers, and astronauts. And we'll never, never get to Mars or farther out in deep space without your help. So one last picture I want to show you. This is another picture of the full Earth, showing North and South America. And right at that star, that's the city of Cleveland, Ohio, in the northern United States. And that's where I was born. That's my hometown. And before I flew in space, I used to tell people, I'm from Cleveland. And this is how I identified myself. Today, if you ask me, hey, Don, where are you from? I'm going to say, I'm from Earth. And for me, it doesn't matter what city, state, country, continent, language, religion, none of that matters. Like, we are all Earthlings here. We all have to coexist peacefully on planet Earth, and we all have a need to take better care of this planet that we live on. So with that, I will say thank you very much. You guys have been a great audience. It's such an honor for me to be here. you. Thank you, Anna.
Yes. Thank you, sir. It was an amazing story. The story of an amazing journey from Cleveland, Ohio to NASA, and then from NASA to the space. Amazing story, sir. And you made us watch the pictures of the space which we had never seen before. You made us watch something extraordinary. Thank you for that. And more than all these, what struck me was the peaceful description with dignity that he had given us today. It was dignified, peaceful, calm, composed, and it was elevating as well. And we are really proud to have you here today, sir. We have been inspired by your presence and by that incredible peaceful description that you had given us. It is a privilege that we had you here today, and it is a kind of elevation to the activities of Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education. Amazing, sir. We were spellbound by what you had shown us. We were spellbound by what you described. And we will not forget this. Thank you, sir, for all that you had given us today. Thank you. Let us stand and give a big hand to Sri Donald Allen Thomas from NASA. It's time that we honor the great astronaut from the United States of America. I invite our Pro-Chancellor Academics to honor Sri Donald. Thank you, sir.
So far, we have discussed about the space science explorations and all. So what we have discussed is about possibilities. We are now taking a concrete step towards creating opportunities for our students to explore those possibilities. The Aerospace Student Development Program is an initiative that seeks to bring young minds closer to the fascinating world of aerospace, space science, and innovation. It is an opportunity for students to move beyond textbooks, to explore, experiment, question and imagine. And there could be no more inspiring person to launch this program than someone who has personally experienced the challenges and wonders of space exploration. It is therefore my privilege to invite Dr. Donald Allen Thomas, former NASA astronaut, to formally launch the Aerospace Student Program. Sir, may I request you to kindly do the honors. Along with that, I invite Muhammad Ryan, Sohaib Khan, Sohra Khan, Juna Shamir, Rukia Shahi, and CJ Arya, VM Meenu, and Minal to join with the dignitaries. Sir, you guys stay this side, and you guys stay that side.
Thank you, Shri Donald Allen Thomas, sir, for the launch. We come to the close of this laying foundation stone for India's first 3D printed space observatory and launch of Aerospace Student Development Program. It's time for the vote of thanks. Dr. P. Thirumal Valavan, Registrar, Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education, plays a central role in steering the university's administrative framework, institutional partnerships, and strategic educational compliance. May I now invite our beloved Registrar to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. It is my privilege and honor to propose vote of thanks on this historic occasion of the laying of the foundation stone for the India's first 3D space observatory and the launch of Aerospace Students Development Program. On this historic occasion, it would be incomplete if we did not place on record our profound gratitude and respectful tribute to Dr. A.P. Majid Khan, the founder chancellor of Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education. His vision, determination, and unwavering commitment to education laid the foundation upon which NISH has grown into an institution of higher learning, research, and innovation. So on this occasion, we happily remember him. I wish to express our profound gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor, Sri M.S. Faisal Khan, for his vision, encouragement, and continued commitment to taking Noorul Islam Centre for Higher Education towards new frontiers. Sir, the transformation of an educational institution into an innovation-oriented university requires imagination, institutional courage, and long-term commitment. Today's initiative demonstrates that NIST is willing to invest in ideas that may define the educational landscape of tomorrow. Thank you very much, sir. I also place on record our gratitude to Srimati Ansa Sabnam Safiq, Honorable Pro-Chancellor, for her gracious presence and encouragement. Thank you, Madam. I wish to express our profound gratitude to Sri G. Madhavan Nair, former Chairman ISRO and Secretary Department of Space, Government of India, whose presence has added exceptional significance to this occasion. For NIST, your presence today is particularly meaningful. An institution that once dreamed of putting a built satellite into space and now stands ready to create new platforms for space observation, aerospace education, and innovation. Your presence, therefore, connects India's glorious space heritage with the aspirations of India's next generation. We offer our deepest respect and gratitude to you, sir. We are equally privileged to have with us Sri Donald Allen Thomas, former NASA astronaut, who has traveled from the world of space exploration to the academic world of NIST to inspire our students. Your journey carries a powerful message to our students. Space exploration is not the achievement of a single discipline. It is the result of science, engineering, mathematics, material technology, computing, communication, teamwork, and above all, imagination. Sir, your participation in the launching of Aerospace Students Development Program is therefore especially appropriate. You are not merely addressing our students, you are helping us to create a bridge between aspiration and opportunity. We sincerely thank you for sharing your experience and also inspiring our students with wisdom and inspiration with the young minds of NIST. Thank you very much for your gracious presence. I express my deepest appreciation to our Vice Chancellor, Honorable Dr. Tessie Thomas, whose presence gives this occasion a special dimension. We thank you for your leadership and vision, Madam. We also express our gratitude to Mr. M.R. Gandhi, former Member of Legislative Assembly, Tamil Nadu, for gracing this historic occasion with his personal presence. Thank you, sir. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sajin Nargunam for his wonderful welcome address, Dr. K. Janardhanan for his gracious presence, and Dr. Jacob, and also for Dr. Shyam Mohan for their best wishes and gracious presence. Thank you very much, sirs. Dear students, today's program is ultimately about you. The distinguished personalities seated before you have demonstrated what human beings can accomplish when knowledge is combined with determination. Sri G. Madhavan Nair represents India's journey from launch vehicle development to ambitious planetary missions. Sri Donald Thomas represents humanity's journey beyond Earth. Dr. Tessie Thomas represents India's excellence in aerospace and defense technology. NewSat represents India's own journey into space. Finally, let us remember that a foundation stone is not merely a stone laid on the ground, it is a promise made to the future. Please remember, the sky is not the limit, it is only the beginning. With that, I wish you happy Onam. Thank you very much.
Let us all stand in unison for the national anthem.
വന്ദേ മാതരം വന്ദേ മാതരം സുജലാം സുഫലാം മലയജ ശീതളാം സസ്യശ്യാമളാം മാതരം വന്ദേ മാതരം സുബ്രജോത്സ്നം പുളകിതയാമിനി ഫുല്ലകുസുമിത ദ്രുമദള ശോഭിനി സുഹാസിനി സുമധുര ഭാഷിണി സുഗദാം വരദാം മാതരം വന്ദേ മാതരം വന്ദേ മാതരം जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा दव शुभ नामे जागे दव शुभाशिष मागे गाहे दव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Thank you so much.